And good morning. Welcome to Stager Insights. And today we have with us Sylvie. Now, Sylvie, how do we pronounce your last name? I'm Yorkshire girl slaughtering French. So.
It actually looks worse than it is. It's Bigaouette.
Bigaouette. Oh.
Yes.
Now I would have to put the Bigaouette in there. So thank you for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you live, what you do in life to get us started.
Happy to. First of all, thank you for having me as a guest this morning. I'm really excited about the insights of, I don't know how much insight I can provide, but I'll do my best. I've been in the design industry for 20 plus years, and I'm still as passionate and in love with the whole industry as I was at the beginning. I've been in corporate, I've done bookkeeping, I've worked in retirement, and I still always come back to my first love. And now I've discovered an extension of my design business that I'm actually loving even more. So,
and that has to be staging.
And it is staging.
So I found the same thing. I came from the decorating world, and it was just such a revelation to move into the staging world and how much easier it was than doing the decorating side. It's
the satisfaction, the immediate change that you're able to see and witness is outstanding. I always thought that staging was a simple, you go in and you declutter. So I always shied away from it. Many people said, oh, you should go into staging. And no, that's not for me. However, that all changed when I listened to one of your webinars. And that was with Design Visions 2020. Oh, yeah. And you presented such a different take on it, and I thought, oh my gosh. So then of course I looked you up, and I looked up your training and signed up and not regretted it. I found your training, Christine, is by far the best training I've ever received, not just for the staging, but how to run your business, how to conduct interviews. It is so much valuable information. Can't say enough about it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It was one of the things I wanted to ask you. You know, when I said it's easier than decorating, I meant from a perspective of immediate satisfaction. Yes. And you are, like you said, witnessing people and helping them move on with their lives. And there's so many reasons why people sell houses. So to be part of that, I think, is a privilege. So what do you find different then from operating now with the training that you've had and the designation you've achieved to prior when you were in the business without one?
I think when you becoming certified in interior design, I mean, they teach you, all about design and so on, but you don't get the step-by-step exact, follow this program, follow this routine. Here are the forms, and the how to get it done, and how to achieve such a tremendous results. And your 7 layers is amazing. The way you teach it, I've never thought about it like that. And when you apply all of those functions, and it makes a big difference. So
a big difference to the room design.
100%, exactly. And it's a very helpful guide as to get what you want to achieve, making that buyer walk in there and fall in love with it.
Yeah, so it's resonating on a different level. And it's interesting that you said that, because when I realized that you needed a formula to put a room together, it was really from an expediency and profitability perspective that I looked at it. It's like the faster you can pull a room together, even though your creative gene, your knowledge is there, this doesn't work with this, to have a formula, a recipe to follow, just made it so much easier. So thank you for bringing that up. So how do you think that the training has changed your business?
Oh my gosh. it has created a whole new desire and excitement for me. And challenge. I find, of course, it's challenging walking into an occupied home and thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to make this look fabulous? And then applying all the techniques and formulas that you have taught us is just incredible. Like, it's just given me a whole new take on what I do.
I was teaching a class last night, and it's the first of a 10-week series, and they were all really like talking amongst themselves between the break session about the language, you know, having a different word to present something, how it made so much sense. I mean, a simple thing like home staging and making it be real estate staging and not talking about home and talking about a property. But those are just really the tip of the iceberg. It's really the in-depth conversations that you have with a seller. And in one of my sessions last week, a young lady said, I just don't understand why we have to learn how to overcome objections. Because if you have a property to sell and you want to make the most money, why wouldn't you follow the recommendations that are coming from the person that you hired? And I'm like, you know, yes, that's a youth thinking, you know, sort of thing. But it's just interesting. It's like, why would I put money into a house that I'm leaving? And that is the bigger resistance, right? You know, that you.
Absolutely. I had a consult 2 weeks ago where one of my recommendations was to paint their front door. The front door was like a coral color, and I suggested that he paint it black. And his first reaction, of course, is, oh my gosh, I was afraid you were going to say, I don't want to paint my door. And it was just having that conversation with your verbiage, right? Yes, I understand.
Understand how you feel.
Many of my clients have said that. However, you may love it, but today's buyer is looking for that simple. So it was great. It was great. So he actually got a text that I'm showcasing tomorrow, and I got a text, door is painted. So it's having the words, having the verbiage to have those difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an old trick, but it's definitely one that works with conversations. So, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you today is to help people who are mystified or who are confused about the so many offerings out there in terms of staging training. And I've always said, you know, staging training are two words that is the only similarity between the CSP designation program and anything else that's in the marketplace. But why would you recommend the training?
Many reasons. The training, as I mentioned earlier, is by far the best training because it's very detailed. It's not just about showcasing and staging. It's about how to run your business properly, verbiage, conversations, and so on. And the other key factor in all of this is the additional training and support that is offered once you graduate. I mean, that is incredible. I mean, there's so much more information and the ability to come back to class over and over because it's such a tremendous amount of information, but the first time around, and then if you think you need a little bit of a refresher, you can always go back to class. That I don't think anybody else offers.
Yeah. And it's funny, you know, when somebody's thinking about taking a training program in an industry where, you know, nobody requires it of you, it's a voluntary movement. And what we're seeing, a lot of people saying, well, it's non-regulated, so why do I need training? Or I'm a real estate agent, why do I need training? I'm a decorator, why do I need training? It's like, yes, but you don't know how to run a business in this particular industry. You are already running a decorating business.
Yes.
Right? So,
Yes.
you know, I talk to design students who go to colleges even today, and they're like, we don't get taught how to run the business. And yes, I've been in the staging industry for 20 years, but I ran a $10 million operation. Like you said, you were in corporate before. So there's a reason, a resonance that you need to learn. And it's about communicating and selling the services, the value of you. And it's just, to me, one of the biggest aspects of getting a solid foundation for your business. But when you say to somebody, you can come back to class as many times as you want, it's like, why would I want to come back to class? You know, but there is so much to learn. And I honestly feel, you know, like I've said to you before, my mantra is no stager left behind. So the intention on that was that we are at the end of a phone call, at the end of an email, we can do Zoom calls, like, what is your particular challenge today? And just reach out and ask, and I can help. You know, there's a way to do that. And I have to say, technology and COVID have certainly helped those, whereas I would have been traveling and it would be more difficult to connect with people. I'm now, you know, 24/7 available. But it's been amazing, the support that we've been able to offer. And I think some trainings offer it as a extra fee. And I think that is something that needs to come out, in that it is just part of the way we operate. We want the stagers to be successful.
And
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And I definitely want to add to that, Christine, is that a lot of trainers, you know, say that, you know, we're available. And then once you reach out, I mean, it's impossible. It takes forever to get an answer and so on. Whereas I have found that with you, I mean, you respond immediately. I mean, within an hour, 2 hours, I have an answer. And if I'm in a situation where I need your advice, or I'm not quite sure, you're there. Like, it's wow. I mean, that is amazing. Good. I don't know of anybody else that does that.
Well, I know it's just, you know, it's an evolution. It's funny. My husband keeps saying, what is the retirement plan? And I'm like, how can I leave everybody out there? You know, if they need help, I want to be able to provide that help to them. So what, yes, if somebody's dithering, you know, again, you know, some things, it's a big amount of money. People say, you know, it's from a perspective of, I always say there's two reasons why people don't want to part with money. And one is, yes, they're afraid of making a mistake. Mm-hmm. And the other is they haven't perceived the value, you know, to be comparable to what they're paying out. So what do you feel in response to that?
I would say that it is the least expensive training that you will ever receive, in the respect that the return on that investment is far greater. I mean, if somebody invests in the training, and they do 2 consoles showcasing, it's paid for.
Yeah.
So I would say, jump in, just do it.
I remember asking a real estate agent to give some advice to a real estate agent who was not using staging as part of their listing procedure. And I said to him, what would you tell them to do? And he said, I would tell them, just keep on doing what you're doing, because your listings help sell my showcase listings, right? So from that, and I looking at it from a perspective of, if you are a stager and you have talent and you think all you have to do is wing and a prayer it to get through business, you're going to find that you're going to be struggling, because I think the majority of people who start a business in this industry do fail within that first year. Can you speak to that from your perspective?
So I'm going to say that it's stay the course, right? It's stay the course, and follow your binder, follow the notes, follow the formula, if you will. And then if you're not sure, come back to class and get it all over again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's not just about the talent. You can have all the talent in the world.
Correct.
It's knowing how to secure the client, how to talk with the client so they're not offended, price for profit, have a contract that protects you. You know, there's just so many facets of the business. So I really appreciate you giving your time this morning. And what's your final insight? What's your positive vibe for the day, or something that you want to share with somebody who's just coming into the industry?
I'm going to say anything is possible.
Anything is possible. There you go.
Anything is possible.
Insight of word.
Just do it.
I love that, Nike. Thank you so much. Just do it.
Thank you, Christine.
My pleasure. It's so nice to see you again. Thank you, Sylvie. Bye-bye.